Where? Sorry about that, gang. So I'm doing a real quick reaction video just now. Amisha and I,
Sorry about that, gang.
Okay, there we go. So Amisha and I just got back from seeing the Ghostbusters reboot. I want to do a quick reaction video. It's not going to be very long because I got to get to work. But, so Ghostbusters, let me say this real quick. I'm a giant Ghostbusters fan. When I saw the original Ghostbusters in the theaters, that was my eureka moment. That was the point when I knew I wanted to be a ghost hunter. So this franchise is near and dear to my heart. It always has been. I've talked about that on the channel before. So when they decided to make a new one, it was kind of that moment. But I wanted to see it. Like everybody, when I saw the first trailer, I was like, "What do you think? What were you thinking?" When I saw the second trailer, I'm like, "Yeah, you kind of." The second trailer was better, but it showed too much. Or at least that was my original feeling. Having seen the movie now, yeah, they showed too much. But there's a lot left to see. Dear heavens, I don't want to give any spoilers, so don't worry. I'm not gonna reveal that or. So let me just focus on what I can say without spoiling anything. First, the people. Let's be clear. The majority of people that don't like this movie aren't basing that opinion on the fact that the leads are women. There are some assholes out there that are being sexist, but not all of them are. The four comedians that they chose to head this off do a wonderful job. The people that are making an issue of the fact that they're women are wrong. They're very talented. They're extremely funny. I will say that I believe her name's Kate McKinnon, the woman who plays Holtzman, and hold on, I'm looking her name up because I don't remember the other one. But okay, here, let's see. Cast. Yeah, Kate McKinnon, who's Gillian Holtzman, and Leslie Jones, who's Patty Tolan, are really the standout characters here. Don't get me wrong. I thought that Kristen Wiig as Ariane Gilbert and Melissa McCarthy as Abby Yates did very good jobs. And I'm not dissing those ladies' work on the movie in any way, shape, or form. But Holtzman is just so over the top. In such a wonderful way. I spent the movie laughing. My fiancee spent the movie laughing. There aren't any. There are some problems with the movie, and I'm going to get there in a minute. I have to say as well that Chris Hemsworth as Kevin Beckman, the secretary, is phenomenal. It's a little jarring to see somebody who's been playing Mr. Beefcake Thor for so many movies now as the dumb blonde. I also happen to like just taking the dumb blonde eye candy secretary stereotype, and dumb blonde, yeah, it's a dumb blonde secretary that's just there to be eye candy, except he's a guy. He does a very good job with the role. The man's funny. The man does well as funny. So as well, I don't think it's a big spoiler to say the original cast is in this movie. Harold Ramis, unfortunately, since he's passed away, and Egon was by far my favorite of the originals, is in the movie very, very briefly as just a bust. Dan Aykroyd's cameo is short to the point and very funny. Ernie Hudson, it's always has a bigger role in this movie than he did in the originals, which is sad, but Again, it's a good cameo. Sigourney Weaver. And I have to say that can't stress this enough. Sit through the entire credit roll because there's funny stuff throughout, including an end cap. Without spoiling anything, references the original movie, and probably sets up a sequel. But Bill, we have to. Oh, Annie Potts, who played Janine Melton. That's if anyone doesn't know the name, was very good as her part in this movie. But I do have to take a second to just address the elephant in the room, which is Bill Murray. For a man who was pretty much the entire reason that Ghostbusters 3 never happened, he had a cameo in this movie big enough to qualify as bit part. It's a part. It's more than a cameo. His character is actually reasonably significant to the plot. Bill, why didn't you do the third movie? I would have loved to see Ghostbusters 3 while Harold Ramis is still alive. That said, this is a worthy tribute. Is it as good as the original? No. The original was groundbreaking. It was four of the biggest comedians of all time coming together. But then it's not really fair to compare this to the original. It's its own movie. And one of the things it does the best is the fact that while it pays homage to the original, it uses some similar themes to the original, and it involves some legitimate paranormal investigation. They talk about EVP, for example, like the original had some references as well. But it stands on its own. It's its own thing. The characters are not in any way, shape, or form cutouts of the original four. While to a point, Patty is your stereotypical sassy black woman, but she owns that well. They're their own characters. The techie of the group, the Holtzman, who fills the role that Egon did in the original movie, is about as far from Egon as you can conceivably get. And I think probably my favorite of the new four. But please go see it. Ignore the people that are making this about gender. It's not about gender. I respect the opinion of... Let me say this. I do respect the opinion of the angry video game nerd. I think he has a point that we're a little too quick to reboot things today. And there's been some really terrible reboots. And there's been some good reboots. Batman Begins, in a lot of ways, was a reboot of the Batman movie franchise. I know people say it isn't, but it was. And it was a really good movie. I wouldn't put this in the same category as Batman Begins. But if you go, you're going to have a good... It's worth the price of a ticket. You're going to laugh. You're gonna... Even almost every review I've seen, it's like, no, we were laughing the whole time. You're going to laugh. You're going to love the cameos. You're going to love the callbacks. I'll say this for the special effects. It's not... The CGI at times is maybe a little too goofy. On the other hand, it sort of works for Ghostbusters to be goofy because it was always kind of over the top. I liked the final boss, as it were, is... I think deliberately an homage to the original cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters. I can't really say more without spoiling, and I don't want to do that. But I like the new actors. I like where this went. I'm excited to see what else they come up with, particularly given the lead-in they gave for a sequel at the end of the movie. So again, go see it. Enjoy yourselves. For those of you who've already seen it, why don't you put a comment down? Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Don't you agree with me? What do you think the problems with it are? I'd say... Oh, I'm sorry. So, real quick, positives, negatives. The positives, the new cast is very good. The cameos were handled brilliantly. If you want a good example of how to do a cameo in a movie like this, I think this this would be a good template. It's funny. There's some. It breaks new ground. It's original. It's its own story. Not just a retread. I will say as well, one of the negatives people have brought up is that they kind of get absorbed into a government type of thing towards the end of the movie. Okay, that's a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm sorry, but if you played the original Ghostbusters video game that came out a couple of years ago, the same thing happens there, so it is something the original franchise did. So the negatives, the ghosts get a little too cartoony at times. The only other major complaint I personally have with this movie is that, what was I going to say? Dang it, I lost train of thought. It drops it pretty quickly, but particularly at the beginning of the movie, it overdoes, in my personal opinion, because I loathe them. The fart jokes, it goes into a bit of toilet humor, which I don't approve of. People who like that kind of thing probably won't mind it so much, but I'm not a fan of that. I don't mind lowbrow comedy per se, say like slapstick, but that goes a little too. I'm not a fan of the gross out. I'm not a fan of going that low. But it doesn't. It's not a theme that goes throughout the movie. It gets overplayed a little bit at the beginning, but they drop it reasonably quick. But I have to get to work. That's my opinion in a nutshell. Maybe in a few weeks, a month or two, I'll do a more detailed review when it's safer to do spoilers and things like that. But for now, that's it. This is Kevin, your host. Drew didn't go with me in the movie, which is why he's not here tonight. Signing out. Have a good night, everybody.